Feel free to disagree, but if you clicked on this video, then you probably feel what I'm about to say as well. Like the fact that somewhere along the way, people stop thinking for themselves. And, before Timmy starts saying, here we go again, you clicked on it, Timmy. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about left or right. I'm actually talking about, something that I think is a lot more bigger than that. I'm talking about the fact that we've been told to shut up for so long that a lot of people actually forgot how to hear themselves think. And that's pretty much what this video is about. I'm sure others have felt this way, but I remember being a kid and having so much to say, like literally too much to say. I was always talking. I was always asking questions. Okay, maybe I was asking those questions in my head. I was very observant, but when those observancies, is that a word? When I had those aha moments and those light bulbs went off, I dang sure got to talking, and I didn't care if it was my turn to speak. I had to let it out. I always got moved on the behavior chart, or, had to put my stick in the red color or the worst color, whatever you want to call it. I was always getting in trouble for talking in class, like literally to the point where they would call home and I would get butt beatings over talking. And I remember thinking, why do adults keep asking kids to be quiet? Like, in a black household or in black families, demographics, one of the things we grew up hearing is children should be seen, not heard. Like stay in a child's place. I mean, yes, that goes with, learning how to respect your elders, I think, that part. But that being seen, not heard, like you say hello and dress the room and then you zip it and you're not spoken to unless somebody speaks to you. But think about it. School starts. We sit down, be quiet, stop talking, raise your hand, wait your turn, stay in line, stay on topic, and obviously some of that makes sense, right? You can't have 30 kids screaming over each other. I get that. And I'm also, a former educator, so trust. I get that there are certain classroom rules put in place to keep structure, but I wonder sometimes how much of growing up is actually learning and how much of it is learning when not to speak, because those are two very different things. And here's where I started, going down a little rabbit hole. If yes, I'm not sure when I got this idea, maybe when I was in college tripping on LSD or something, but I had this theory that babies are geniuses, like stay with me here, for real. Before you click off, just for real. I had this thought that babies come into the world already knowing everything. Not facts, not math, not history. I mean something different, like an understanding of themselves, a connection to a higher power, something bigger. Then childbirth happens, right? Life happens, school happens, society happens, and little by little, they forget. We forget. Then the rest of childhood becomes people telling us what matters most, what success looks like, what to believe, what not to believe, what's acceptable, what's weird, what's realistic, what's irrational, what's impossible, and eventually you stop hearing your own voice and you start hearing everybody else's. Now, maybe I'm tripping, but that thought never left me, because look around. People got more information than ever before right now, yet somehow it feels like fewer people are actually thinking. And that's crazy, because having information and being able to think for yourself aren't the same thing. You can consume information all day long. That doesn't mean that, you thought about it. You can watch 100 videos, read 100 comments, listen to 100 opinions, and never once stop long enough to ask, what do I think about this? Do I actually believe this? Would I, recommend this to someone else? That's the obstacles, that I don't really see people addressing. Not information, not over information, because a lot of these content things that we consume are just repetitiveness on different channels, but now there's really no escape. And when I was a kid, eventually, the TV got turned off, right? You went outside, you got bored of the TV, right? You even at one point got bored of the computer. Yes, you could be on the computer. My thing was Neopets, but I also had to sit with my thoughts as a child. And this actually wasn't by choice. I mentioned in a video in the past that I spend lots of time on restriction, months at a time on restriction. So I, at a young age, spent a lot of time sitting with my thoughts. But now, there's this thing called the algorithm that follows you everywhere. There's one on your phone, your TV, your laptop. If you got a smartwatch, your car, not mine, but maybe, headphones, your notifications. Somebody is always talking, somebody is always selling something. The world never sleeps. You might be asleep, but somebody is always awake, telling somebody else what to think next. And if you never unplug, when exactly do your own thoughts get a turn, right? And that's what really concerns me. Not technology, it's the dependence on technology now, because technology isn't evil. I grew up with computers too. I had a computer in my house, by the age of 5 or 6. The difference is the computer didn't live in my pocket. Now some kids get introduced to the internet before they even learn how to spell. And, I'm not judging them, because the internet can also teach them how to spell, right? I'm saying that's a completely different human experience. Each generation has a completely different human experience. Because if your entire life is spent consuming, when do you have time to create? When do you make time to be able to reflect or have disagreements or find a resolution to those disagreements? When do you have time to be you? And maybe that's why so many people feel lost right now. Not because they don't have the answers, but because maybe they never got a chance to, ask their own questions, ask themselves their own questions, ask them out loud. If you lose your ability to think for yourself, you'll spend your whole life living somebody else's idea of success, somebody else's dreams and their priorities, their fears even. And you'll wake up one day wondering why none of it, feels like it's yours. Maybe that's why silence feels uncomfortable these days, because silence is where your real thoughts live. And a lot of people haven't, heard those thoughts in years, because they're always consuming something and they're never alone with themselves. Maybe that's why boredom feels uncomfortable. Maybe that's why some people need constant stimulation. Maybe that's why being alone with your thoughts feels harder than ever for some people. Because the moment things get quiet, you finally hear yourself again. And honestly, I think a lot of people are afraid of what they might hear. And if you've been sitting here this whole time, really listening, I don't want you to leave this video thinking less information is the answer. I think the real answer is making room for your own voice. Because, everybody's got their own opinions these days. Everybody's got advice. Everybody's got a platform to give out that advice. Everybody's got something to say. But at the end of the day, you got to live your life, not theirs. Yours. I love you. I appreciate you for being here. I'll sit with you in the next one. Peace.